Here's the rear of the van. I got a stainless ladder. This came with it. There's some nice roof racks. Easy to put a deck up here or solar panel. This is a boat porthole. It vents okay, but you have to do everything by hand. That's a big piece of aluminum for like a satellite dish mount or something. And that's an old electrical box that you could use for passing solar panel wires through. Here's the rear of the van, complete with warning stickers. Nice stainless ladder. These doors do swing open all the way. This is the garage area of my van. This is a bed slide master. Sometimes things fall off. We're lucky today nothing did. But what I'll do is I'll open this door up all the way, swing this out, take this step stool off, put it on the ground here, and this space between the edge of the rack here and this rack here is enough to fit like 650 size dirt bikes and stuff. It's a tight fit, but you know, I've got a little ramp here. It's usually just a block of wood because I don't want to bring anything too heavy with me, but it fits in there. Plenty of storage for tools or rice cooker, riding gear. I usually put my helmets on there. These are the lock and load tie downs. There's room for one bike there and then another bike up there. The table, usually the front fender of dirt bikes will go over the front table. For trials bikes, the fender will just fit underneath it. Here is all of the electrical stuff for 120 and 24 and 12 volt. I've got a Multi Plus 2 from Victron. This van was kind of designed with Victron in mind. They had this panel made cut out for a CCGX. That's what stands for color controlled GX. This is an older unit, but they make newer units that fit in this exact spot. You can control the inverter from here. You can look at the battery status and stuff. So from here I can just control the inverter commanded on, or just turn it to charger only. The good thing about that inverter is it'll charge with shore power, so it handles all the shore power input and it'll charge the 24 volt battery. It's an EG4LL and it's 5 kilowatt. It communicates over a CAN bus to the Victron system, and there's an additional battery monitor here that I connect to with Bluetooth, and with the Bluetooth you can just you can see energy trends with your phone and stuff. What I also have it set up to do is to control this magnetic solid state relay, and this power wire here feed is coming from the engine bay. There's a 24 volt alternator. It's a big one. It's 300 amp capable, and there's like a custom mounting bracket, and it uses 3 extra idler pulleys, 1, 2, 3, and a longer belt. The wires just go from the back down. This van also has like a little, there's a valve and plumbed in extra like AC lines there and there. They piggyback into the system, into the stock system. When you have the AC running, you can turn on cool or heat, low, medium, high fan switch, and there's an extra blower motor back here. And like a relay setup to handle all of that. It works pretty well. They definitely designed this van to idle all day long. I'm sure it has plenty of idle hours, but that air handler will blow air through here, through the back of the cabinets, and then out these vents at the top. More on this switch panel. Those two are for the rear heat and AC. These are for the fairy lights, van life lights, whatever you want to call them. And then these are under cabinet lights. These are for the 4 marine grade lights stuck in the cabinets. So this used to be like a little office, and these cabinets were in an L shape. You can kind of see like where they used to be here. So I had to kind of finish them up a little bit and decided to put most of the power outlets in here. They also have outlets in at the top. This one's got more outlets and stuff. It also has 12 volt. If we come over here, they even have lights that turn off after a minute, which is really neat because you can't leave them on and kill your battery. We're going to come back to this switch panel. So this controls the 12 volt accessories back here. This runs off of the starter battery for the truck, so you don't want to leave that on too long, maybe like a few days or something. These are the interior lights here. And they're the same brand as the ones underneath the cabinet. They're just a different style. This is a 12 volt overhead. They had a partition, so they split that into 12 volts back there. These are outside lights, so curb and street scene, or these LEDs up on the top of the van. Looks like they had some rear scene lights too, but they were not on the van when I got them. I've got this as the fridge right now, and the fridge is powered directly by 24 volt. But it is capable of handling 12 or 120 as well. These are circuit breakers. It's just extra protection. You know, like this I keep this one here just if I need power over here. I'll plug my boot dryer in or something over here because I don't want my stinky boots smelling the van up. But these are all individual, and some of them are grouped into two. Like these are the interior. This they had labeled into exterior rack power. There was a full server rack in here, so, and then these are split out. But the way this is configured, you could move these down or up or wherever you want. Put an extra outlet somewhere else. That covers those two switch panels. There was a switch panel that they made for the space here, and it seemed a little clunky, so I just replaced it with a stock one. They did cut out a little bit around the dash to fit theirs, but I've just zip tied it in on one side, and it holds now. Like you can pull cables out and it's not going to pull the whole panel out or anything. They used this unusable space. It was like a little cubby or something. They put the tow mode button there, and there's another charger thing there. The rear camera also, there's also a right camera here, and that turns on when you turn the vehicle on. This seat swivels 270 degrees, so it tilts this way, and then it faces rear, and then it'll actually face out that door too, so it'll twist 270 degrees, but it does not with a high interference object like this this fridge right here. The floor is like 1/2 inch plywood, there's felt insulation. I don't think there is any insulation in the walls. There was like some Reflectix bubble wrap in the ceiling, but it definitely doesn't do much. So here's the boat portal. These are all manual, but it's a nice little skylight, you know. This is the stock wiring harness back to the taillights and stuff. I chose to keep it out in front of the paneling, but it could be tucked. You know, if it ever needs to get worked on, it's important that it's decently accessed. I store the Risk Racing stuff in this rack here. They'll fit here or up here. And I put shoes here, but I do have this is a mounting plate for like a diesel heater. I obviously don't run it in the summer, so I just take it out for off-season use. This is a couple of relay and switched and constant power relays, and then there's the 24 and the 12 volt stuff broken out there with individual fuses. All the grounds are wired individually, so you can, if you have an accessory that's 12 or 24 volt, you can just swap the ground and the power source, and it's a very easy modification to make. There's a battery shunt here that came with a battery monitor. This is a pretty nice battery. If you don't want any of this stuff, like we could definitely make deals for you know, negotiations or something if you don't want a power system, or you know, a bed slide, who knows. It's got RV bubble levels here, so you can tell if you're off camber or not. This van used to have like a hydraulic pump and 2 hydraulic jacks at the back to level the system, like the entire van. There was a antenna mast in this space here, so they had to level the van before they put a pole 40 feet in the air. This desk, it's just repurposed. They had like a wraparound desk, like from here back this way in an L shape, but they had a huge cutout here for probably like a laptop or like editing station. It was kind of weird. But what I did was I just cut it like at that corner there, and then just rotated it and put it here and made the cutout to fit around there. It's also been raised, like maybe not raised, but I had to move the support up a little bit. But it's just tall enough to fit like a 21-inch like knobby tire underneath. It worked out great. There's extra storage, nooks and crannies that you can find. Oh yeah, this door, the door works great. You don't want to slam it too hard. And opening it from the inside, you have to squeeze these 2 handles. or you find the cable that actually opens the door, and then you just pull on it. The door handle is, the actual handle itself is underneath here, and it still works. I think the cable is just stretched a little bit. Yeah. A funny note about this door is, if you see, it stops like maybe 8 or 12 inches from the opening. They limited the travel on the door, which is really easy to reverse. I was looking at it last week. They limited the travel because they had this little switch access panel here, and this still works too. The key is a little, oh great, had the key upside down. It's a little access panel. So this leads into that rack here. There's the batteries right here and inverter system. You could use it to vent. And this is a 50 amp plug. I guess if you wired it properly, or 450 amps, but it handles 30 just fine. The cable I made for it, is right here. It just goes to from that 30 amp to a 20 amp plug here, and I have an adapter from a 20 down to a normal 15. The van has seen, everyday use for 8 or so years. It's a 2014. They put it into service in 2015. Frontline Communications is the company that made the van. It's a custom ABC blue paint job. See, there's Frontline. Their Frontline's owned by Oshkosh. But yeah, there's going to be scratches and some dings here and there in the doors, the sides. This looks like it's from an Amazon van. That's a different color blue. The right where doors and car doors and mirrors would be, is a New York news van, so I'm sure it's seen a lot of street use. They had these locks here and up here. I don't really know what they're for. Maybe to like disable alarms or something, but they're not used anymore. They're just, that one's drilled out, and yeah, this door's a little dinged up. Starter was replaced. The oil filter, diff oil, transmission fluid and filter were all changed in the last 2,000 miles. New air filter, new intake boot, new spark plugs. Still need to get, oh yeah, it's got Bilstein struts. And those are HD springs too. The mirrors are mismatched. This is a chrome one, the other one's black. It's got the Frontline like communication stuff here. It says it's rated for 9,900 pounds. So what an NV3500 would be. It's got 3,500 floor mats, so I think it's the TPMS does not work. There's no check engine light currently, but it does get one for evap codes often. Like if it says like the gas cap is loose, the gas cap's not loose. I think there's an O-ring on the evap canister that's dirty. It just needs to be replaced. I do have a Titan HD alternator that's 200 amp for the 12 volt system, in case someone wanted an upgrade. I bought it while I was exploring whether to use this 24 volt alternator or not. You can see the outlines of a lot of the vinyl work here. The bumper's pushed in a little on both sides too. That can be pulled out. The support, the little support bracket here just needs to be moved back out. It's missing one of the chrome wheel covers in the back left. The back right is the one where the TPMS does not work. There's that right side camera. There's that other scene light. All these little dents and stuff. Someone said it might be hail damage, but I think it's more likely just it was street parked and things are dinged a lot and often. These C-Tech cabinets, I don't know if I went over these. And these are side window covers. They're really nice. And then this is just a cheap windshield cover, but it's cut to almost exactly fit the windshield here. You got to line those two arrows up before you rotate the seat. Yeah, it's a cool van.